Welcome to the Grit Wit Podcast, hosted by Maury. He's got stories, sarcasm, and a soft spot for real life and dad jokes. Around here, grit builds character, wit keeps you sane. Let's get into it.
Have you ever had someone believe in you so much that they did not give you the choice not to succeed? Today's podcast is about a time when my mom literally threw my baseball glove out the window and drove off. Let's talk about the ones who knew before we did. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Grit and Wit Podcast. This is episode 4. I'm really enjoying doing these. I'm getting a lot of great feedback. So I appreciate those of you who are liking and sharing the podcast. Today's episode is about a story that I wrote on my Substack that you can see at gritandwit.substack.com. This was one of the early on blogs I wrote for Mother's Day, actually. And it was a story about a time when my mama believed in me a little bit more than I believed in myself, which a lot of times, if you think in your life, there are a lot of people who we need to honor with times that they've believed in us or they gave us that nudge that we needed just at the right time. I have a big problem with imposter syndrome. That thing, those of you who don't know what that is, that's where you don't feel like you belong or you don't deserve something when you really do belong. And sometimes we do deserve it for all of our hard work. And sometimes, in my opinion, it's just a blessing from God that we need to accept. So let's get into the story. When I was 13, my baseball team in my hometown didn't so much dissolve. We just didn't have a team for 13-year-olds. I had played T-ball 2 years, minor league 3 years, and little league 2 years for my hometown of Cornersville, Tennessee. Population back then, not that many. I was the second baseman for our team all of those years that I played baseball, just because we were the same team essentially every league. We just moved up every time with a different awesome dad as our coach for that year. So I wanted to keep playing baseball. So my only choice was to go north to the town where we played our other baseball games. Except this time I was going to have to join the Babe Ruth League that Cornersville did not have a team for. Ironically, a lot of us who had been playing together for years, we were suddenly put on teams and playing positions that we had not played up until that time, simply because we didn't have enough players to make a team that wanted to continue on. And let's just be real, I wasn't going to get a baseball scholarship. And let's just leave it at that. My anxiety was through the roof. I was a very shy kid. Those of you listening who know me now are probably thinking right now that I'm lying, but I was a very shy and quiet kid. I did not like change. Still don't really like change that much, just to quite be honest. But my mama, being the awesome mama that she is, she drove me to the Babe Ruth field, and we got to my practice field that I was playing actually for a team sponsored by our town's hospital, LCH, Lewisburg Community Hospital. So I'm sitting in the car in the passenger seat with my baseball glove in my hand, baseball cap on, ready to go, kind of. I did what I did a lot of times. I just sat there. Mama and me went back and forth, and she finally said, "Let me see. Let me see your glove." So I gave her my glove, thinking we were going to pray. I thought maybe she's going to give me some words of wisdom. Maybe she's going to give me a pep talk. But she took my glove and threw it out my window. I have no idea why. And I, to this day, don't really know what was going through her head when she did this, but it helped. But that's later on in the story. So I got out of the car to get my glove, and by the time I had raised up to get myself back in the van, my mama was driving away. She left me at baseball practice. In hindsight, I needed it. I needed someone to push me because I did not want to go. I did not want to go meet new people. I was almost to the point of telling mama, I just don't want to play anymore. I'm okay. But she yelled out the window that she'd be back. Didn't really have a choice. I made my way over to the ball field, met another new guy named John, and me and him started to warm up. So, long story short, I played a whole season. I went on to play 2 more seasons. And some highlights. First of all, like I said earlier, I wasn't getting a scholarship in baseball for when I went to high school. My brothers and I have 2 younger brothers, and we say we all have superpowers or qualities or gifts or strengths, whatever you want to call it. My middle brother was the baseball player. I think he could hit a home run blindfolded. He could see. I think time stood still for him when he played baseball. When we were in high school, Sean was a freshman and I was a senior, and he started. And a lot of people would look at me like, how does it feel to have your younger brother starting? And I was fine with it because he was a really good baseball player. I mean, I wasn't. I was more academic, you could say. I was more into the classroom and grades and things like that. That's where I got my identity or whatever you want to call it. Sean turned into a different person when he stepped on that baseball field, and it was for the better. So I respected him and his talent. So of course I didn't care. I mean, I was fine. So going back to my 13, 14, and 15 years in Babe Ruth, the best 3 years of baseball in my career, if you want to call it that. I know I had more base hits than I did in those 3 years than I did in high school. But just to give you a couple of things, like when I was 13, I was playing third base and I was playing 14 and 15-year-olds. The 15-year-olds might as well have been grown men at that point. But I was playing third base, and there was a guy running to third base. He's a 15-year-old, and he was coming hard, and they threw the ball into me at third base from left field, and I put the tag down and got the guy out, which was great. Which was bad was the fact that the guy's cleat, we were playing with steel cleats, and his cleat ran up my shin on my leg, and I was frankly a bloody mess, and they had to take me out of the game. But the coach said, "Good job, Wood," and that made I didn't care. Yes, it still hurt. It made it hurt less because he saw something in me. He saw something, and my playing time started slowly getting more and more because I was showing that I was tough and I wouldn't quit. Year by year, I continued to grow. When I was a 15-year-old, I was batting third, and pitchers were pitching around me with runners in scoring position because I could hit the ball. I never hit a home run. My 2 younger brothers, Andrew and Sean, they hit home runs. I never once. I had an inside the park home run when I was in Little League, but it was because of throwing errors. And those of you who play baseball, you just run till the ball stops and the other team couldn't catch. So I got a home run with an error. But anyway, it's a home run. I'm going to own it. But when I was 15, I almost hit a home run. I had one of those swings where I didn't feel the baseball hit the bat. It took off to left center field. I was actually running to first, and the base coach said, "I think you got a homer." So I slowed up my running to like a trot, and then I heard a bam, and the ball had hit the fence about 5 inches below going over. So I got an easy stand-up double because I wasn't running. I could have probably got a triple if I'd have been running like I was supposed to. But the cool thing about the year I turned 15 was it was one of the last games of the season, and there was a guy on third. It was a tie ball game. I was up to bat, and it was the bottom of the seventh, which essentially was the bottom of the ninth as far as we were concerned, because that was it. So I got the signal from the coach to lay down a suicide squeeze. Those of you who do not play baseball, a suicide squeeze is where the batter bunts the ball down and the runner on third is coming on the pitch, meaning you've got to get the bunt down or the guy's out. It's got, everything's got to work. Anyway, I did get the bunt down right down the first baseline. I got to first base. The runner was super fast. I think he scored before I even made it past the baseball on the first baseline. So he scored. We won the game. People giving me high fives, going, good job. Coach telling me good job. It was great. The little boy who had been in the van when he was 13, scared to get out, had obviously come a long way. I went from not wanting to go to practice to wanting to go to practice every time we had it. I remember in that time span, I got contacts, and they put me in center field, and being able to see the baseball, the coach was like, what did you do? Why you're moving towards the ball better? And I said, I can see so much better with these contacts than I could with my glasses. So once again, mama took me to the eye doctor, and they didn't know if I was, that was back when a lot of people didn't get contacts. But I went to the eye doctor, and my mama argued for me to get contacts, and it was great. Sometimes belief comes wrapped in softness. Sometimes it feels like a tossed baseball glove in a gravel parking lot. The people who believe in you the most won't always coddle you. They're going to challenge you. They're going to push you. They're going to leave you in a parking lot with a decision to make. Do you sit on the sidelines, or do you go and try to experience something that is either going to make an impression on you, make you who you are, or teach you something? If I go back to the Mother's Day, this was a Mother's Day article. If your mother or father or uncle or grandfather or grandmother or a relative or a neighbor or a friend has encouraged you or given you confidence, I highly encourage you to thank them. Reach out to them today and say, hey, thank you. And not only tell them thank you, tell them why. I always tell my kids, when you tell someone thank you, tell them why. I always end the shows with, you can only control yourself. So remember, you can only control yourself. Remember to tell yourself, I'm going to be the one who walks out of the car, even when it's easier to stay seated. If you're a parent, be that voice of encouragement to your kids. If you're a spouse and you don't have any kids, be that voice of encouragement to your spouse or to your neighbor. Be that person that looks for opportunities to build people up. In this day and age, Lord help us, we know it's easy to find the negative, but we do need some lights in the darkness to make people feel good. I know I've been on podcasts that Dave Campbell, I go back to him. He was the one that encouraged me to write my book. And I'm 5 chapters in to my book about my grandmother's letter she gave to me when I was 18. I never would have thought to do it, but Dave encouraged me to get out of the car. With this podcast, it's hard doing a podcast and a blog because sometimes you don't see the impact that you make with people. And my wife, Karen, has encouraged me to keep on and to just be consistent and to keep showing up. So I appreciate that. And she knows it. I tell her all the time, thank you for pushing me and thank you for encouraging me. So to wrap up, remember you can only control yourself. Also, please reach out if you have an example of a time where someone threw your glove out the window or something similar and it encouraged you. Please reach out and let me know, and I'd be glad to have a conversation about it. And although it's belated and it's June right now, I'm just going to thank my mom once again for, I always say, I wouldn't be the man I am today if it wasn't for my mama. So thank you all for listening. Remember, you can check out all the podcast episodes on the Grit Wit Podcast on Substack or iTunes or Amazon or wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. You can also check us out on YouTube. I also do that if you would rather see a face when you're listening. Some of you might not want to see a face, so I don't know. But I thank you for listening. This has been the Grit and Wit Podcast with Maury Wood, and I hope you have a very blessed afternoon, evening, morning, and week whenever you're listening. Thanks a lot.
This was the Grit and Wit Podcast, hosted by my dad, Maury Wood. Follow the show or share it, please, or he'll make us clean the garage.
What?
Bye.